This is the Joe Watson Show podcast. Northern Ireland's smallest podcast.
It is indeed, folks. What about you, folks? Hope you're well this fine Saturday. Yes, I'm a day late, but hey, I put my hands up, but it's coming, it's here. You're listening to it, and you're going to enjoy it, because what an episode this is. I have Ali on shortly, and he's going to tell us what we're to watch on all the streaming networks coming up over Halloween, and it's not going to, you can't miss it, you just cannot miss it. So big thanks again to Ali for that, coming on and doing this for us later on in the show. So I want to say a big hello and shout out to a friend of mine. Hello friend, how are you? You'll know who I'm talking about. You'll know who I'm talking about, my friend. And he's become a recent listener to the pod, and he's listened to all the old episodes, and when he's come to the house we've bantered about them and chatted about them, and it's really encouraging to know that I have at least one listener. Anyway, moving on from self-pity and self-disrespect, it is Halloween, and this weekend we're having a Halloween party on Saturday evening, which is, I said hello Saturday because I knew I was going to be late, and I knew it was going to be late. Shut up, Daisy, would you stop letting me down? I knew it was going to be late, so I said hello Saturday. But, so Saturday evening we're having a Halloween party. It's not really a party, a wee bit of music, a wee bit of food, and there's going to be a wee bit of band bingo. I'm not going into details why it's called band bingo, but I'm sure my friend will know why it's called band bingo. So band bingo is coming, and we love band bingo in our place. And I call out the numbers because I have the voice for it, as you know, 2 and 6, 26, Halloween 31. And then we have Rishi Sunak. So it's now, instead of being, who was it? The last time we did a band bingo, Boris was in. So Liz never had her chance to have Liz's den or Truss's den. So it was Boris's den, number 10, and then it's going straight to Rishi's den, number 10, or Sunak's den. I don't know which one sounds better, because that all devises back in the bingo years ago in the bingo halls. It was Thatcher's den, number 10. And, I have a wee assistant in the studio this week. Yes, I have a wee woman. Her name's Susie. She doesn't say much. She's a wee miniature schnauzer, and she is just a wee adorable wee pup. We are looking after her over the next few days. Well, her mummy and her 2 sisters are away, and I say 2 sisters, or 2 human sisters, are away to Scotland. So we are looking after the wee baba. And she absolutely loves me. She does. She loves me that much that she was running around my head the other day, and she was actually just doing donuts around my shoulders and head and face. That she's hurt my eye, but listen, my eye's alright. It's not black. At least I don't think it's black. I never looked in the mirror this morning. But, so that's my wee assistant in the studio today, and Daisy is a rather bit jealous, but we'll not listen to Daisy. Daisy hasn't said much about it, the situation. Daisy, would you shut up and stop being a renowned cow? Anyway, so Halloween. So that's what's happening. We're having a wee Halloween soiree this evening. Well, let's say this evening because this is going up on Saturday. Also, probably Monday, I'll have a movie marathon. I usually have a movie marathon. Some of the stuff's quite tame. Like the most scariest film I'll probably watch on Halloween will be John Carpenter's Vampires, which I love. I've watched that many times. I know it word for word. I just love it. And, I love the soundtrack to it. I love the characters. Who doesn't like James Woods? Yeah, if you haven't seen it, go and watch it this Halloween. It should be. I don't know where it's at. I don't think even it's on streaming services. It might be on Paramount or what do you call it? Prime. But right, Susie, play the game, daughter. Stop that. So, so I might watch that. I'll definitely watch Hocus Pocus, the original. I will. I'll definitely put that on sometime during the day or even the evening. Just as it gets dark, I'll start watching some of the movies. Laura's head's going to be turned. But my head's been turned this last month or two. She's found this thing called Married at First Sight. And listen, I secretly love it. But it's garbage. It's total and utter garbage, but I do secretly love it. So these people are just married at first sight, and they're total strangers, and then they fall out and they cheat with each other, and then they at the end they part company, and why? But the marriages aren't legal, so that's a good thing. But so my head has been turned with that, and so come Halloween, she'll not want to watch my stuff. So I'll just have the TV to myself and the couch, and I'll have a big bowl of popcorn. She will put her fingers into the popcorn and will probably steal half my popcorn or most of it. But listen, I don't mind. So I'm looking forward to Halloween. Another thing I may watch, but I haven't DVD'd, I don't have a DVD player in the living room, is something that I watched a few years ago on Halloween, which is called The Salem Witch Trials. And it's an old document. It's not a documentary. It's an old drama series starring Kirstie Alley, and it's about obviously the Salem Witch Trials, and I love all the history of that. And one day in my life, I want to go to the Salem Witch Trial Museum in Salem itself. So I want to do that. And there's been witch trials all over the world, and some of the witch trials here in Northern Ireland was in a place called Glen Tasey Glen, which is outside Magherafelt. I said Magherafelt, Neil. I said Magherafelt. I didn't say Marafelt. I said Magherafelt. And outside Marafelt, and these women were brutally hanged and destroyed and burned for as little as having a cure for a cough. And they weren't actually witches at all. They were just ladies that had cures for different things. Like, a tea bag for a sty in your eye. These women were tried. And maybe there was a wart on their body, and these men who were not, there was just all men in the group of judges. They would strip these women of their liberties. They'd strip them off they just strip them naked. And these were Puritans, and it was okay for them to watch these women naked, and probably some of them were getting off on it. The fact that these women were standing naked, and some of the women probably, I don't know, there maybe was witches among them, but there's a lot of witches condemning other women that were witches, or even condemn innocent women that were witches to get the heat off themselves. So the Salem Witch Trials is, I think it's a 3-part or a 4-part drama series that Kirstie Alley played in, and it's a really good watch. And I think to get more of a look into it, watch that sort of thing. Well, so we'll watch obviously Hocus Pocus, the original, which I love, and Ali just told me it was all about nostalgia for me. It wasn't actually the fact that the film was any good. I have to disagree, Ali, but anyway, we'll hear from Ali later on. But so I'll probably watch that. John Carpenter's Vampires. Please go, and if you haven't seen it, go and watch it. It's a fantastic movie. It's well written, well acted. The soundtrack is amazing. John Carpenter never fails to provide wonderful soundtracks. So what else am I going to be watching on? There's a children's. See, here we go. Here's the child in me that I've never really grown up. So the child in me would love to want to watch Double Toil and Trouble. That's the wee twins. What do you call them? The two twins that over and everything over the 1990s. Mary Kate and Ashley, is that who they are? Double Toil and Trouble were Cloris Leachman playing the two. See, there was twins in the family, and then it skipped a generation, and then it back again. So so that there, I'll watch that there. I just love the old innocence of it, and the wee man in the wee house, love that, and the man that lived under the bridge, all that there. I love all that there. It's a bit of nostalgia. I'll watch that, and so I maybe watch a couple of other horror movies. Like, I love that House of Wax. It's not really is it a horror? Would you call it a horror? House of Wax. I like that. I'll probably watch that. I like probably watch some of The Walking Dead. Maybe. But that's some of the things I might watch at Halloween. As for no, I'm not going to trick or treat. No. But I was kind of a bit miffed. My friend Neil, Neil, there's another mention for you, son. He says to me, Joe, you do know that there's somebody has their Christmas decorations up already in your avenue, and I was like, what? So true and behold, there is candy canes in someone's front garden, and it's not even, it's the 29th, as this pod's going up, it's the 29th of December, or October, 29th of October. There you are, and they've Christmas decorations starting to go up. Beggar's belief. I know last year, through the lockdown, people had fed up and just threw up the Christmas decorations probably too early. Probably it was the 1st of November people had them up, and people were stone scundered. That's a word for you, and I'm not willing to translate. It just means fed up with. Yeah, totally scundered looking at the Christmas decorations by the 10th of December. You know, I really would. Later on in the month of November, I'll talk a bit more about Thanksgiving, but I like that idea that on Thanksgiving Day in America, once you have your big feast, in America that Thanksgiving meal is more important than the Christmas meal, whereas in the UK and Ireland, and Susie, play the game, daughter. You have to be totally quiet in here, daughter. You can't be making any noise on your wee cute face. I know, darling. I know. So, over here it's Christmas dinner, but in America it's all about the Thanksgiving meal, and that's fine. And I like the idea of a Thanksgiving meal. And then once they've their meal up, they watch the football, and then they put up their Christmas tree and their decorations. And I quite like the sound of that. And I think the last sort of Thursday in the month, sort of the last weekend of November, or even the first weekend of December, I think that's a perfect time to put up your Christmas decorations. But this is a Halloween episode. What am I talking about blinking Christmas decorations now for? Because, you know, it's Halloween. It's supposed to be spooky. That is my best attempt with the Rodecaster Pro of something spooky. It came in built with that little soundtrack. But a soundbite, should I say. So, I'm going to hand it over to Neil, or not Neil, sorry Neil. Hi Neil, come on ahead. No, I'm going to hand it over to Ali now. And Ali's going to tell us what to watch over the coming days and weeks, coming nights over Halloween, of what to watch on all the streaming services. So take it away, boys. Well, folks, we're back, and it's time for another episode of the Entertainment Exchange. Hello, Ali. What about you?
I'm good, Joe. How's it going?
Grand. Happy Halloween, by the way, for this week.
Oh, I don't know if is it happy, or is it, do you say spooky Halloween?
It could be spooky, yes, spectacular. So, your last time was brilliant. We talked about Hocus Pocus, and I really enjoyed it. And you did burst my bubble a wee bit, saying it was all about nostalgia. It wasn't as great as I thought it was. But I'll forgive you.
A lot of movies that happens to people, so don't take it too bad, Joe.
And before we go on, obviously, I would say a lot of people have seen Hocus Pocus 2 by now.
Yeah, I would say on the run up to Halloween, and now at Halloween, I'm sure it's had a big rise in people watching it, which I think is where the original got its cult following from. So I'm sure everybody's got caught up with it by now.
So a big spoiler alert. What did you think the fact that Billy Burgesson's voice had changed?
Well, I suppose he is so many years older, and no, I sort of, I'm happy enough to overlook that fact.
And Sarah talked far too much in this one.
Yeah, trying not to maybe be as scary as the first one.
Yes, I
think is where they were coming from. There was more comedic effect than the character on the second one. So, I'll forgive it.
So that's a wee quick recap. So, this week, what have you got for us?
Okay, so I've had a wee look at all the streaming services and seeing what sort of movies and shows there is available for people to watch. I think at this time of year, myself included, you're more inclined to be willing to sit down and watch something that's maybe going to be a bit scary, make you feel a bit more uneasy.
Yeah,
it's dark and windy and cold outside, so you're wrapped up in under your blanket, sitting on the sofa. Why not give yourself a wee scare, have a wee jump scare now and again?
A bowl of popcorn or sweets or...
Sorry?
A bowl of popcorn or a bag of sweets in your lap.
Of course, of course. And why not? It's the time of year. Not even for horror movies, but even after Halloween, people then will start watching Christmas movies or just more movies and TV shows in general because, you know, the nights are dark and long and cold and wet. You know, you're not as out and about as much doing things. You know, you might as well sit and be nice and warm and, you know, crawl up in front of a box set or a movie.
Yeah. What do you think of those breed of folk that started watching Christmas movies in July?
Well, yeah, that wouldn't be my way of going about it now for sure, but I think that it spoils it a bit. You want to save them things for that certain time of year.
Absolutely.
I think you know you don't want to dilute it down any more than you want to enjoy it properly.
So, what's coming up this Halloween on Netflix?
Yeah, so Netflix is my first pick. It's funny, just very quickly talking about Netflix. It's probably the most popular streaming platform. I think it's the one most people have. Yeah. But I would say it's probably not my favorite. I think there's a lot of content on it, but just how good that content is up for debate.
Yeah.
I know it's a lot of times as well. They'll make a series or a show. It'll maybe only be one season, and then it gets cancelled. You know, and there's a lot of series like that on it that never get properly finished.
Yeah.
Or if they are putting a lot of money into something, it's a big budget movies, but they're very silly and very, over the top. But it is what it is. There's definitely still good content on there. And for sure, my first pick, and it had to be, is the original Halloween movie.
Yes.
The 1978 original. It's on Netflix at the minute, and it's definitely
it's brilliant.
It's the original. It's the original slasher movie. It's still a masterpiece in my opinion.
Yes.
The sense of unease, the sense of dread, the score. John Carpenter, the director, did his own score. It's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
In my opinion, for this genre of movie.
Correct.
It's been imitated ever since, by not only all the sequels that came up, some of them are obviously not on the same level at all, but the original still stands tall as being one of the best slasher movies, and it is Halloween. The movie's called Halloween. I don't think there's much better place to start.
Absolutely. Michael Myers.
Following on from that, I've seen The Others.
Oh, I haven't seen that, I don't think.
Now, it's what I would call a haunted house movie. And it's not, I've tried to go for movies that maybe aren't, there's a lot of gory horror, a lot of, other types of horror that not maybe a lot of people are into. So I'm trying to go for more general picks that I think most people would enjoy. And The Others, it stars Nicole Kidman. And it's basically set like, was World War One era, I think, and her husband has went away to war, and she's left in the house with her kids. Okay. And there's a couple of servants turn up, and let's just say things in this house go a wee bit awry.
Oh.
It's very, very well done. It's not too over the top. Definitely, Nicole Kidman is brilliant, and I would highly recommend that as well. It's one that I think most people could enjoy.
Okay.
Following on from that, on Netflix, there's The Crow. It's a movie. It's not what you'd call a horror movie as such, but it's set at Halloween.
Okay.
And again, it's a pick for somebody that doesn't want a horror movie, but it's set at Halloween. Yes. They want an action movie. And it's more of a gothic feel to it. Very, obviously, well before Marvel movies or anything like that, but it's based on a comic book and very, very atmospheric, very well done. And obviously then there's the whole real life situation of what happened with being Brandon Lee's last movie. It's very apt, and I think it's definitely still, again, a cult classic.
Yeah.
And I think, and following on from them, a couple of movies, there's a series on it called Midnight Mass.
Yes, I saw this. I love it.
Yes, very, very slow, what I call a slow burn.
Yes, absolutely.
it's very deep. It takes its time. It sets up the world, with great detail in terms of all the characters, what their motivations are. And then it isn't until maybe further into the series that it starts to unveil all its secrets. And then all these episodes that you've watched at the start, and you're sort of, what is going on here? I'm not sure about this. What's that? And it starts to explain it to you. And when it starts unveiling all its secrets, that is when the show really, really then takes off. And I think it's highly underrated. One of the best series I think that Netflix have ever done.
But the fact that the priest is so convinced this is an angel and not a vampire.
Yeah. It's a true masterpiece, I think. It's highly underrated. I don't know how it hasn't got more praise.
Laura and I initially watched it, and I loved it. I love anything horror. She was okay with it. She liked it, but
a lot of people I think are put off by the slow pace and the fact that, as I say, those first few episodes
you're like,
are setting the scene. You're not explaining, they're giving you bits of information, but you have to put that together yourself. And it's not then until further into the series that the secrets are unveiled to you. And I think that's the payoff then is brilliant.
But the fact that the locals of the islands, the islanders, they don't like outsiders.
Yes, there's a lot of them when you could read into sort of current societal issues. They don't like, there's the whole thing about people coming from the outside, that's not one of us, and we have our way of doing things, and you can read lots of different ways into it. And I think that's when I really enjoy a show or a movie, when you can look at it in lots of different levels, and you can take lots away from it. And you can be even sitting the next day and, I get what they were saying. Something will come to your mind, and you'll be like, it's still sticking with you the next day. And after I watched this series, it stuck with me a long time afterwards.
And obviously we have the woman that's I don't know the name of her, but I can't remember the name, but she's the sort of the priest's assistant. She's quite pious and a Pharisee. She's like, she's better than everybody else.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then she starts covering up that she thinks,
all sorts of different things involved in that show that I think was very well done. Definitely.
And the final scene is really so sad. The wee girl just turns around and says, "I can't feel my legs."
Yeah, no, it's it hits home, it hits hard.
It does.
And I think it hits so hard because it's taken its time to build. It's not rushing into things. It takes its time.
Yeah.
Stick with it. And if you're prepared to stick with it, you're more than rewarded. And definitely, as I say, one of the best series on Netflix. Not even just horror series, but series in general.
And I love, is it Rahul Kohli? It plays the sheriff. I think that's how you pronounce it. I loved him in iZombie. So
lots of great character actors that you'll know that have popped up in this show, that show, that movie. Great cast, great ensemble.
Yes,
and definitely. And if you're ever looking at any other things that's done by the guy that created it, Mike Flanagan. Highly, highly recommended.
Yep. Oh, I loved Midnight Mass, and even the eyes of the thing. My cat does a similar thing at night. And I'm like, don't be giving me those midnight mass eyes.
Yeah, that will freak you out for sure.
But Midnight Mass is definitely up there. It really is. So, are we still on Netflix, or are we moving on?
Well, I've picked out like sort of 3 movies and a series from each of the streaming services. So I think that covers Netflix. As I say, I want to rattle through a few more, and we'll go on to
because we've loads of time. Don't worry.
Okay. Amazon Prime Video next.
Yes.
And the first movie pick here, if I'm going to start with, I've picked out one genre-defining classic that I think is on each service.
Okay.
So if we went with Halloween from Netflix, I'm going to go with the original Hellraiser from Amazon Prime Video. Now, a wee bit of a side note to this one, it's on the freebie aspect of Amazon, which is their new free service.
Right.
So the movies have ads in them, but that means that they're free. So
Yes.
it's anybody can watch it, even if you're not an Amazon subscriber.
Oh, okay.
And obviously, the original Hellraiser is, again, it's a cult classic.
It is. It definitely is.
Very off its time,
Mm-hmm.
but again, without wanting to go into too much detail on it, with trying to not spoil things too much, because I'm sure there's a lot of people now haven't seen it because it is so old. I think it's 87. So I think it's basically about Pandora's box, basically,
Yes.
and this creature that is controlled by this box, and it controls the creature, and vice versa, and
Yes.
how basically it shows you an aspect of real horror, and it's one of these ones where I'm coming to it from nostalgia point of view. I seen this when I was very, very young, perhaps too young, and I didn't sleep for about a week after it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell anybody because I couldn't admit to my mum that I'd sat up late and watched this movie. But I still think it holds up. Clive Barker has been very influential, and definitely that's one of my cult classic sort of movies that I think at this time of year is well worth checking out.
Yes.
Moving on then to a more modern one, the new It.
Yes, I went to see that in the
on
cinema.
Amazon Prime. So you have obviously based, again, we're coming at it from a nostalgic point of view,
Yeah,
a remake of a 1980s TV miniseries,
Yes.
Stephen King.
absolutely.
But I think the new one modernizes the situation,
Mhm.
and it works. And I think in many ways it's probably, dare I say it, it's better
Mm.
than the original series.
Mm.
I think most people know the basic synopsis. There's this killer clown sort of character that comes and abducts kids from a small town in America, and how that affects the kids. And I think this is well worth checking out.
Yeah.
And very psychological, let's just say.
Mhm.
Moving on from that, I have The Purge.
Yes, I've only saw one Purge. I've saw Election Year.
Well, this is the original,
Right.
2014. I think there's been like 4, maybe 5 sequels.
Right.
But it all started here, 2014. It's sort of an other parallel universe type America that is
Right.
a lot more sort of territorial, or if I can't even say that word.
Territorial, no?
The government is very tough on the people that live there,
Right.
and the different ways of controlling the population.
Mm-hmm.
You can look into this one as being more of it looks at society, and I think as crazy as this movie is, you nearly look at our own world and you can see mirrors of what
Yes.
is going on in real life as opposed to what's going on in this, movie world. And I think that is nearly where the horror in this comes from.
Well,
It's not-
anything's possible since COVID. I would say, there's a zombie apocalypse around the corner or something.
It's not so much a horror movie as such, but nearly the situation that we've found ourselves in the world in the last few years, and how if the society does take a bit of a left turn at some point, just how unprepared we all are for it, and
Of
how
course.
that it could really literally become a living nightmare. And I think this movie sort of makes that possible, and shows you how it could be possible and what might happen to people if that happened. And there's something, I think disturbing in that while it's not about ghosts or monsters or anything like that, it's the scariest thing is probably society itself.
Yeah.
And, if that is, takes us to say a bit of a left turn, that you definitely could see that as being the ultimate horror.
Yeah, totally.
And so in a series I picked out for Prime Video is The Following.
Oh.
Again, it's on the freebie side of Amazon, so that's the free side. So you don't have to be a subscriber, but there will be ads.
Yes.
But hey, it's free. What are you going to say? So it's sort of based on, think of the main character in it, James Purefoy, is sort of like a Hannibal Lecter character.
Okay.
And then Kevin Bacon is in it.
Kevin
And
Bacon,
he's
yeah.
like an FBI investigator, and he's trying to investigate these murders, and obviously he needs help from this serial killer sort of cult leader.
Right.
Will he help him? Is he really helping him? Is he setting him up for something else? I watched this show quite a few years ago, but I still remember it. And again, it's got great actors, with Kevin Bacon being the lead, and I think the rest of the cast is just as good. It's quite a few twists. So, and I say it's free. It's on the freebie aspect of Amazon. So check it out. Check out a couple of episodes. Why not? I highly recommend it.
Okay.
And if I think then, if you want to move on to Disney,
before we do that, I've just noticed there the Jeepers Creepers Reborn is out on Amazon Prime as well. Have you seen it yet?
And I think the original Jeepers Creepers is on there as well.
Right, and then there's a one in the middle, isn't there?
Yes, I think there was a 2.
Aye.
I've never seen the sequel. I've seen the original. It's good. Yeah, it's worth watching again. I think it's one of those ones that I think if you were to put on Amazon and click horror, it's probably one of the first ones that's going to come up.
Yes.
Most people maybe have heard of it. They end up over at Halloween, they'll maybe watch it. So I think that's where I'm trying to come from. Something, picking out things that so maybe a wee bit different, a wee bit left field. Something, if you just don't want an out-and-out horror movie, something that might suit different people. So if you want your traditional monster movie, Jeepers Creepers is actually pretty good.
It is. It is.
And I would recommend it.
So moving on to Disney Plus then.
Yeah. So how do we look at Disney? And again, if I'm starting off with my one sort of genre-defining cult classic that's on there, there's The Omen. And
I've never actually seen The Omen now, but yes.
They're all on there. Best way to describe The Omen is there's a character that, and he thinks their son is possessed by Satan, or actually then thinks he is, a reincarnation of Satan. And it's very, very psychological. The closest thing I can compare it to would be The Exorcist. And I think, again, with lots of the religious undertones that brings,
absolutely,
I think can affect people, and can really, really get to people in some ways of how it crosses religion with horror.
And I think that's what you touched there on The Exorcist. Whenever The Exorcist originally came out in the cinemas, people were fainting and collapsing.
In uproar. How it affects people is it's very deep rooted. Obviously, religion's a thing that a lot of people have, so obviously that's affecting them on a very deep level.
Absolutely.
When they see a movie that can cross horror with religion, and I think The Omen again is one of the originals. Put it with The Exorcist, and these two movies are genre defining.
Yeah.
Still looked at, still studied,
yeah,
and still for not only the movie themselves, but how they affected society at the time when they came out.
Yes.
I think it's even worth looking at from a historical point of view.
Yeah, absolutely.
And very, very well made. So highly recommended with The Omen on Disney Plus. On, I should say, the Star side of Disney Plus, which is the adult orientated, not for kids side of Disney Plus.
Absolutely.
Another one I picked out then for Disney is Signs. Mel Gibson, Joaquin Phoenix, sort of like how can you put it? An alien invasion movie, but from within one person's house.
Right.
So it's big scale but small scale, and just how this affects this
like
family.
Poltergeist.
Yeah, so very, very much like in terms of this is going on, and you can see other things that's happening on the news, on the TV, on the radio, in the movie, and how that is affecting these characters. But yet, the actual scope of the movie is pretty much within one house.
Aye.
And I think again, it's not an out and out horror movie. If you don't like, to be too too much of the heebie-jeebies, if you just want that's a bit more thriller aspect, even, it's not out and out horror, but there's definitely scary aspects to it. A couple of jump scares here and there. So if you want something that's not too full on, Signs is highly recommended. M. Night Shyamalan is the director, obviously known for The Sixth Sense.
Yes.
Which is another recommendation I could sneak in very quickly. It's on Disney as well.
That's so Bruce Willis.
Yes, it's very well, goes well with that, I should say, is almost like a two-piece sort of movie. You can watch them back to back, and it's interesting to do that sometimes when it's the same director, and you can see how they use similar shots, and different things that follow over to give you an overview of how a director works, if you want to look at a movie from that point of view as well. So they're both on Disney Plus. So again, I'll give them both a shout out as well.
Yes.
I'm going to be controversial with my other pick.
We like controversial.
A left field one here. It's called Ravenous.
Never heard of it.
And this is a movie basically about, think of the Americas during the settler age.
Okay.
When people are trying to make their way across America to make it to the west, till the gold rush era.
Yes.
So obviously it's set in olden times, for a very basic way of putting it. And basically what happens to the people when things are starting to go really wrong, and how it can turn people on each other.
Yes.
And it's almost done but as a black comedy.
Ah, okay.
So I couldn't believe how well it balanced the two. Very hard to do an out-and-out comedy that you'll be laughing 1 second, and then the next second you'll be totally in shock at a twist that's just happened. Or, then again, you can look at it from the historical point of view, in that this is horrific, but actually this is maybe true to life as well.
Yes.
So Guy Pearce is in it, and Robbie Carlyle is in it. So great actors. I think, it's one of these small movies that people maybe haven't heard of, and it's not an out-and-out horror.
No.
But it's a different aspect of horror. It's something a wee bit different. And again, why not check it out if you've Disney Plus?
Okay. Any more on Disney Plus?
Yeah, so I've got a series, and I couldn't really not look past it. I tried to look past it, but I couldn't. Okay. And it's The Walking Dead.
Oh, love The Walking Dead.
Because it's this cultural juggernaut.
Yes.
That actually became nearly too big for its own good.
I
think a lot of people fell off it.
I fell off it in season 5, but I'm trying to pick my way back up again.
A lot of people would say that, and it's one of those shows that I think a lot of people have fallen off and never came back to. I admit I did fall off, but I went back to it, and I'm really glad I did.
Did you start from the beginning again?
I didn't start from the beginning, but I got to about season 6, 7.
Right.
Yeah, 7. And I think if you know the show, there's the character Negan.
Negan, yes.
When Negan is introduced, it takes a bit of a left turn, the series.
It does.
And I think that put a lot of people off. And at the time, maybe in a way, it did myself too. But I've went back to it since, and I have to say I love the show.
Is it over yet, or are they still...
The last part has just started. So I think it's on every Monday night now.
Right.
On
AMC, is it?
On Disney. So
Disney, right.
Like every episode will be there on Disney every Monday night, a new episode.
Okay. Can you still watch the old series?
It's all there. Okay. All 11 series is there. So it's one of these ones that people maybe have never started it. Yes. If you really want to go for it, I would recommend it. Definitely those first couple of seasons are phenomenal. Some of the best TV I think ever made.
Yes.
Which is why it became so massive. And very funny side story on this. There's only 2 ever episodes where I watched the first episode of a TV show. As soon as it was over, I rewatched it again.
Yes, absolutely.
The very first episode of The Walking Dead was one of them,
Mm-hmm.
and the second was Game of Thrones.
Okay.
And I think that sort of shows how both those shows have went on to become true cultural,
Correct.
Pop cultural, massive, massive shows. Even if you've never watched them, you know what they are.
How do you think it's going to end?
Sorry?
How do you think it's going to end, The Walking Dead?
The Walking Dead. Oh, yes. Now, there's all sorts of theories on this one.
One of the theories I heard was that it's all been in his head. It's been a dream.
Yeah, ever since the very first episode. Yes. I know that's definitely a strong contender. So we'll see. I think when it comes to time, well, it'll be probably just after Christmas.
Oh.
When that last episode goes out.
Right.
I can see it being a massive talking point.
Yes, and I look forward to us talking about it.
Yeah, even if people have dropped off the show, I'm sure they'll still hear other people talking about it. It's one of those things that they're going to end it well, end it as much as they'll end this run, basically.
Yeah, because I think it'll come back in movie form.
Movie form or spin-off maybe something like that.
There has been a few spin-offs, like The Fear of the Walking Dead.
Yes, and there's been games and all sorts of things. That's when you
The Last of Us. You ever played The Last of Us?
Yes, one of my favorite ever games, and very, very, very quickly on that. If you want to play a good game that's very horror-based, and you're lucky enough to have got yourself a PS5, they've remade The Last of Us.
Okay.
To be fully modernized with 4K graphics and stuff they rebuilt it from the ground up. So I've got myself a PS5. I'm very lucky, but I haven't got around to getting that game yet.
Right.
But I think if you're wanting a scary game, definitely look at The Last of Us. Similarities to The Walking Dead in terms of post-apocalyptic sort of zombie outbreak type setting.
Yeah. And any more on
So that covers Disney, and very quickly, and it's one that I keep telling people about, but everybody keeps overlooking BBC iPlayer as a streaming service.
Yes.
And I highly recommend that if you haven't used iPlayer in a while, you probably don't think of it, go on there, because there's lots of good movies always on there.
Yeah.
And what I like about it is it's not the movies, there's maybe like 100 to 150 movies.
Oh.
Not massive range, but the selection's very good. Okay. And so I was able to pick out a couple of horror movies on there. You have The Babadook.
Okay.
This is a more modern type horror movie, and it's very much I can't say anything about this movie really. It just is one of those ones that deserves to go into without knowing anything, basically. Very psychological. Definitely one of those ones that it's slow, again, a slow burn, but afterwards it'll get paid off, and then it will stay with you. Another one I spotted was on there is Drag Me to Hell.
Okay.
The Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
When was this one made? I would say early 2000s, maybe. There's almost comedy aspects to it, like there is with most of the Sam Raimi horror stuff. It's a bit more scarier. Basically, it's more horror than comedy, but there's comedy aspects to it.
Yes.
So definitely check that one out. And then the genre-defining cult classic that I spotted on there, Night of the Living Dead. Original. We're talking about zombie stuff there, so the original. None of the other things would have existed without Night of the Living Dead.
That's the one in the shopping mall, isn't it?
Sorry?
That's the one in the shopping mall. No?
Yeah, the original, like, black and white.
Oh, that
zombie.
One, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
George Romero, the first. No, there would be no Walking Dead. There would be no The Last of Us without this movie. Again, some people might look at it now and think, oh, look, it's black and white, it's clunky, the special effects, it's low budget, but it's a cult classic for a reason. It basically gave birth to the zombie genre.
Yes, it did.
It's very, very important cultural and historical movie. And then I noticed there's a show on there called The Terror Infamy.
Oh.
what this is, it's got Ridley Scott behind it.
Right.
One of my favorite directors.
Yes.
And it's basically based a lot on Japanese folklore.
Okay.
Some of the best horror movies I think I've ever seen. A couple of them are Japanese, and you're looking at like The Ring.
Yes.
With Ringu. There's quite a few. If you go on to Google, search for J horror or Japanese horror, and that'll take you down a very big rabbit hole. And if you're willing to, go with some subtitles and things, there's lots of Asian movies.
Have you saw Train to Busan?
Yes, absolutely loved it. Brilliant. Again, some of the movies and stuff that comes out of Korea and Japan is amazing, and they do horror very well.
Oh, they do.
And again, I think it's something that is underrated. A lot of people don't want to take the time with the subtitled content, but I think they're missing a trick.
They are.
Some great stuff there. So that was The Terror Infamy. It's in English. It's on iPlayer. It's in English, but there's a lot of Japanese culture based on Japanese sort of folklore horror stories. And that definitely will be something I'll be checking out.
Yes.
I watched part of the first episode and I was like, yep, this is definitely good. The reviews are good, so I'll be checking out the rest of that series as well.
Good man. Anything else you want to cover?
That's pretty much me, Joe. There's other things that I would like my favorite ever horror movies and stuff, but
what are they?
One of them would be called The Descent.
Oh yes.
4 girls go cave diving.
Yeah,
that's all I'll say. It's in terms of talk about tension. I think this is the most tense I think I actually remember watching this the first time in the cinema, and when I come out, and for 2 days afterwards, I was sore.
Oh,
because I had tensed up that much, that I'll always remember it. That I was actually sore afterwards because I'd been sitting for 2 hours, like tensed up.
Yes.
So if that sounds like your sort of thing, then I would highly recommend that movie as well.
I've written down two while we were chatting there, From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah. It's one of those hybrid movies. It's a comedy, it's an action movie, it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
I would definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. If you know sort of Quentin Tarantino crossed with Robert Rodriguez, them type of movies. If you know what you're getting into, and you go along with it, you're in for a good time.
And Dogma. You ever saw Dogma?
That's a very interesting call there. That's a very hard movie to get these days.
It is, yes.
I'm lucky enough to have it buried away on a DVD somewhere. But
so have I.
One of these ones that due to the Harvey Weinstein scandal, the rights are all tied up in all sorts of complications. So you can't actually get it. You can't buy it. You can't watch it. You can't stream it anywhere unless you have an old DVD or a very expensive Blu-ray. That because it went out of print, it's very collectible. It's very hard to get.
Didn't know that. That's good. Well, it's not good that it's very hard to find, but it's good that it's a good movie. It's not too
brilliant movie. Kevin Smith directing and Matt Damon, Ben Affleck. Highly recommended as well.
Yeah,
good. That's a good pick there, Joe. I have to say.
Definitely, I just came into my head and I thought, I'll write that up for the end. But so this has been another great installment of the Entertainment Exchange, Ali. You've outdone yourself. Definitely.
No, you're too kind, Joe. You're too kind.
A lot of stuff there to look into and watch over the Halloween season.
I don't know if there's if it's maybe too much, if it needs, if people prefer shorter lists with maybe more detail, or more quick synopsis of a longer list, we can give me some feedback on that, and sure we'll take that forward in the future episodes.
Yeah, email them at the Entertainment Exchange at joewatsonshow.com. So
we look forward to receiving them emails.
Absolutely. Well, Ali, it's been a pleasure again as always.
We've actually cheated a wee bit. We've actually recorded them on the same night, but it's all about.
That's a secret.
But so until next time, have you any snippets of what we might be covering the next time?
Well, you mentioned it earlier, but I think I'll save it. We'll save the Christmas movies.
Yes.
The next time I'll be talking to you, or maybe into November. I don't want to get any of the Christmas trees up too early.
No, definitely not.
I'm sure at some point in the not too distant future we'll have a wee look at Christmas movies.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see you next time then. We'll hear you next time.
That's brilliant, Joe.
All right, cheers.
Okay, I'll talk to you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was another amazing episode of the Entertainment Exchange. Big thank you to Ali again for coming on. I'll certainly be checking out a few of them. So, folks, whatever you're doing this coming Halloween season, be safe and have a spectacular, scary, spooky Halloween, whatever you're doing. And, be safe. And Halloween's a wee bit of fun. It's not really to be taken serious about. It's just a wee bit of fun. And, So, whatever you're doing, be safe, take care, and I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye for now. Oh, and before I go, John has a wee message for you.
Email the podcast at joewatsonshow.com. Remember to check out the website, joewatsonshow.com.
All the best. Bye-bye.